I am Cristina Leston-Bandeira. I'm Professor of Politics at the School of Politics and International Studies at the University of Leeds. I'm also co-director of the Centre for Democratic Engagement. Politics, it's about our society, how our society is organised. So it's very much about how we share resources within our society and who decides on that. So because of that decision making, it's about power, who has the power to make decisions, but ultimately it's decisions that affect all of society. So I would always say that politics is about living in a society, really. So the voting system in the UK for general elections, because we actually have lots of electoral systems for lots of different types of elections, but for the general election, which is the election to Parliament, which lead to government, is the first past the post. And that's known as a majoritarian type of electoral system, and that's because the decision on the vote is based on the majority. So in each of the seats, the country is divided in 650 seats. Each of those seats elects an MP. So that's why we have 650 MPs. And in each one of those, the vote is decided on a majority. So it doesn't matter whether that MP has got 50% of the vote or 26% of the vote. If they have more than one vote than anyone else, they will win that seat. So the consequence of that, how people vote, is that sometimes people might feel there's no point of voting, say, for smaller parties, because they think their vote might not count if they think they're very far off from actually getting the majority in that single seat. The main difference between left and right wing is actually incredibly difficult to pinpoint, and things are shifting so much all the time. I'd say that left is more focused on social welfare, on services, and on a high taxation type of economy that works for the whole of society through the taxation support to public services, whereas the right is more towards a focus on the economy and making the economy drive the society, and a low taxation type of economy and society. Austerity is a term that's been used for a whole wave of governments who have decided to cut on public spending. So austerity is an environment where funding for public services has been cut quite significantly to try to address the overall deficit of the country's economy. The party leader with the most votes will go and see the Queen and ask to be endorsed as the new Prime Minister. Now the Queen might say, well, actually I'd rather have someone else, but actually that would never happen, because the Queen or our monarch, whoever that may be, would always say they would always follow the will of the people in terms of the largest vote. This is slightly more complicated if there's a hung parliament, when there's not clear exactly who will lead a government. But in short, the party with the highest number of seats, of MPs, will go and see the Queen and be then endorsed as a Prime Minister. So a hung parliament basically means that it's a parliament with no overall majority. So another way of saying it is it's a minority government parliament. So it's a parliament where no party has won a majority of the seats in Westminster. And so it's a parliament that is dependent on other parties to get their policy gone through.